Men. What are the most unacceptable places a woman suggested you to go to for a date? Very expensive restaurants. Same. In my case, it was sort of an ambush. The restaurant was in a museum in Manhattan, and it wasn't obvious to me, having grown up in a working class household, that such restaurants tend to be expensive. To make matters worse, she ordered an expensive bottle of wine. The entire meal cost over $200, which was very costly at the time, considering that I was just out of college. In my first year of grad school, she went in for a kiss at the end of the night and I gave her the cheek. I felt at the time, and still do, that she displayed extreme entitlement. Needless to say, I did not ask her out again. Honestly, she didn't make a smart choice by inviting you to such an expensive restaurant. But it would have been completely fine to say, hey, I didn't realize this restaurant was going to be that expensive. It's not really in my budget. Would you mind if we just got some appetizers and left for a different place to eat? The way she'd react to that would also tell you whether she's someone you'd want to continue dating. Just false pretenses in general. Years ago, a woman invited me to her house for a first date dinner. Said she'd be grilling. Turned out she had invited a bunch of friends over to help her move out of her house, and the grilling was hot dogs on a charcoal kettle grill. I put a box in the moving van on the way to my car and left. People are so creative in the ways they deceive other people. As a decent human being myself, I'd never have this level of creativity. You never started a fitness trend to get free moving labor? There used to be this ship that would depart every 3 hours. It was dinner and a show. Sounds lovely enough. About $30 per person with no add-ons. Well, she ordered like 9 glasses of wine, a side dish, and a dessert. Her part of the check was $311, mine was $38. I wish you all could have seen the look on her face when I asked the waiter to split the check. I did, yes. 9 cups. She was very drunk. By split I mean I paid for mine. She paid for hers. A woman once sent me a few pictures of a resort in Hawaii and suggested we get the big suite for a weekend trip and we could invite our mutual friend Mike as well. She was impressed by the complimentary service and amenities for only $4,400 a night. I thought she wasn't serious and sent her a joke about where to find my tent about a mile up the beach. Apparently she was serious and ghosted me. What a damn shame. She would have bankrupted you. You scored big by getting ghosted. Oh yeah, I'm used to the bankruptcy ending, but usually after a substantially longer relationship comes to the end. A bankruptcy beginning is a whole new level of the scheme. I had no clue, even though I probably imagined such a nightmare. Now that I'm reflecting on this, seems to me I missed a rare opportunity to experience a female in a super-charged gathering and spending operation, and I would have had a first person, up close, even intimate perspective I could have written into a movie script. This turns the $10K weekend into a small price to pay for the type of perspective only women know well and only share with close intimate female friends. Yet any movie on the topic, and there are so many, becomes just another chic flick that males don't give a ress about, much less watch from beginning to end. Damn, I hope I still have her number. It will still be a first date too. In fact, I'm gonna title the movie First Date. To a Salt B restaurant that I would pay my whole salary on the total receipt. But look, he uses salt. I went to his burger house in Istanbul and I paid $5 for a meal there. Thank the Turkish lira for that. One of the best burger I ever had. Thanks for saying thanks. It's so nice to see Redditors being grateful. The place wasn't unacceptable, but her reasoning was she wanted to go to a Mexican spot because they gave you free chips and salsa. She told me she would go there and order water, eat chips for a while and leave. She also told me she would go to food pantries and complain about the quality. She wasn't broke. She was just fucking bonkers. Reminds me of a quote from Seinfeld, when a character mentioned volunteering at a soup kitchen. Jerry asked if they ever complain soup again. I'm not sure that there is an unacceptable place that I can think of. I ended up at a funeral during a first date once, but it was like circumstantial. A date including her friends or family in a situation where I feel ambushed would be terrible, independently of the place. We agreed to go get pizza. She had specifically asked if I could order because she was shy. No problem, I said. She had also said that a friend of hers worked at the place and she wanted to say hi. As we are walking up to the door, she blindsides me with, "Yeah, I met them oftener. I've never actually seen them before. Most awkward order of my life. So did she leave with you or wait for the other one to finish their shift?" Left with me. I secured the bag. Then never spoke to her again. That was just one red flag she was showing. She was an incredibly toxic person overall. She kept saying things like IDK, why I don't have friends. Had this fear that if the date happened at her place, that I would get robbed or jumped. I'd always assume she was fishy if she got standoffish when I didn't want to go over to her place for our first interaction. I roll. First date should always be in public. Maybe except if you already know the person beforehand. I knew a guy who was seen hot enough that he would literally meet up just to hook up. Did that a few times, and looking back, there were a lot of opportunities for me to get murdered. I realized how stupid I was being when I came to a girl's apartment and her roommate was there. We all talked, but they ended up being really annoying and I made an excuse to leave. If they were crazy instead of annoying, I'd be a goner. Picnic in a cemetery. Camping trip in the woods alone. Yeah, I've given up on online dating. People used to save their freak flags as a surprise for later. I guess times have changed. Went on a first date to this girl's favorite breakfast spot when we were 19 to 20. 10 minutes in, her parents randomly show up. Nothing against parents, but I'm not looking to meet parents when trying to get to know their daughter. Throughout the conversation she was texting her mom and I realized the umbilical cord was never cut. Her parents were likely there on purpose. I didn't pursue a second date. Not first, but almost two. Third, a swingers club. Yet we haven't even had sex yet. And it wasn't even a nice place, but the shitty one. Neither of us has been in one. But her perception at that point was just a warning for things to come. Edit, since so many people are asking, here is what happened. Went on a few dates. She was holding of sex, despite initiating all the time, but stopping right before. Meet her friends. They were toxic as F and she asked if I was a pedo because I liked younger girls. I'm 32. She was 26. Then her friend said I was flirting with her coworker and broke up with me in the most sass I have ever felt. I proceeded to tell her that her friend is toxic and said goodbye, and within a minute, she asked if we can try again. F no, and blocked her from everything. And then, I'm a Hindu and have been vegetarian since birth. On our third date she decided to surprise me by taking me to a steakhouse. When I asked her what I was supposed to eat there, she told me to get a salad or something. Of course, I was expected to pay for this too. I left as soon as we pulled into the parking lot and called a friend to pick me up. Good on you. A comedy show during the pandemic where she let me know she'd be selling coke to pay off a dealer she was indebted to. Did you go? I once took a girl on a first date whom I took for drinks. She then ordered $70 oysters and a meal while on the date because she was hungry, and the date went from $25 worth of drinks to $150 bill, which I did pay, and I did get laid that night, lol. But I understood what was going on here. The next date, something similar happens. She did the "oh, I ate and you didn't. I can pay. It's not a problem," clearly expecting me to foot this bill again. This time I said okay and let her pay. Her body language completely changed. Her attitude toward me changed, and I didn't get laid that night, lol. We planned a third date and she cancelled. Mind you, this is a girl who told me that one time she had a guy pay her rent for a year who she wasn't even dating. Red flag #1, lol. I don't even feel bad for the guy. There's being taken advantage of, and then there's being a sucker. My son had a girl pick him up to take him to church. Not necessarily unacceptable, just unexpected. Okay, Hosier. I love that song. Second date with my high school GF was to her ex's house. I kick myself for falling into that to this day. Story time. He sat in the car. She came out an hour later, but nothing happened. They just talked from opposite ends of the bed sofa. A woman took me to a restaurant and wanted to order a $160 plate for us both. I had no idea. I suggested pizza before this, and she said she had her heart set. I'll never let a woman pick again on a first date. Tell me you guys split the bill. It's actually a really funny story in hindsight, lol. So I had just cut up my credit card to not spend as much. I can't remember why, but I had $120 cash. I decided $60 would get me through dinner and like a small dessert. When we got to the restaurant and she said what she wanted to eat, $140 platter. I was like this gold digger and I cold said I only came with $60 cash, but thought it would be funny to tell her to pay at the end and did Venmo her. I was going to hoodwink her since she hoodwinked me. I just wanted to get pizza and watch a movie. She said no to pizza, but I could pick her up and we'd watch something after. The conversation was at the restaurant. She told me she had bad hearing. In hindsight I should've sat on the same side booth as her, but I was disinterested pretty quick. So trying to build a connection seemed dumb. It finally came time for the bill, and I told her my situation. I didn't have any other cards, just my cash. I even told her here's $60 cash. I'll Venmo you the difference. She all like I don't have any money on me. So I explained the situation to the restaurant, gave them my license and wallet, and said I have to go get the money and come back. We went to her house, grabbed her wallet. I went back to the restaurant, paid with her card, and gave our server $20 for being so polite about the whole thing. I know that's like 15% of $140, but I was pretty ticked and didn't think it through that moment. So in the end, $140 for the food, $20 for tip. So the total came out to be $160 sadly. I promptly paid her back with Venmo. When we got back to her place, we talked about watching a movie before we planned the date, but she wasn't in the mood after, so I left. I think she lost interest from dinner, and I just wanted any time to actually talk to her. And we talked about cuddling a ton when texting, and how her ex didn't like foreplay and he just forced himself on her. So I was still interested to cuddle, watch something and talk. I don't usually like kissing on a first date, and since I was so annoyed with didn't, I wasn't in the mood. And I doubt she was either, because she was embarrassed about having to come back to pay the restaurant. I texted her we should just be friends after, since she didn't seem interested physically, and I didn't see her as anything else. About a week later she asked me if I wanted to buy OnlyFans content. I said I wasn't into that. In hindsight I should have said honestly I paid $140 for food, so technically I should get free content for 2 years. Either way I don't go for of content. A month later she asked if I could take her cousin and her out to eat. I told her I already ate and made plans. Anything ridiculously expensive early on, or with her friends in tow and expecting me to pay. First meeting. Avoid any place not public. Too many crazes out there. If she wanted to go to a real haunted house, I'd have been down for this. It's me. If he didn't want to go to a haunted house, I'm not sure I'd be into him. I went on a black market tour of the French catacombs a few years ago. It was a terrifying and amazing experience. She wanted me to escort her to a relative of hers funeral. Buddy, that's a hookup waiting to happen. Funeral crashing is a thing. Grief is nature's most powerful aphrodisiac. Apostrophe. She wanted to go to a casino. Nope. The restaurant inside the casino is borderline, though. Not too expensive and surprisingly good food. But it's still a restaurant date. Plus then you learn right away if she's capable of walking through a casino without gambling. Not a super impressive feat, but you'd really want to know immediately if she can't. No dude. She wanted the casino to be the date. She wanted to play slots and all that nonsense. I once had a date with a guy and he insisted on walking downtown in a sketchy area, which was a surprise because he's a well-known politician. I suggested walking in a local, free rose garden, and he refused to compromise. I thought it was very strange and decided not to meet him at all. You in this? It was just strange. This person was on the Obama administration for 8 years, and I was very excited to meet him, but his charm quickly faded when his bullheadedness came out. She said she knew of this secluded area we could drive to, right by some railroad tracks. Said it was a nice quiet spot, that no one would disturb us there. She was spot on, and the conversations and sex was phenomenal. But looking back, I probably shouldn't have been willing to meet someone there for the first time. And I'm genuinely surprised that I haven't woken up in a tub of ice missing a kidney or something. If they were going to steal your kidney, why would they bother with the ice and the tub? True. But the point was that none of my organs have been harvested. My friend's house, because she wanted to have a three-way. Honestly, as long as it's not a 5-star restaurant, I'm up for anything. I think every guy has encountered the feminist fats only traditional when you're at a restaurant. Then she orders the $50 a glass wine. If I could get my wife to just tell me where the F she wants to go, I'd be happy. Ho, we can go wherever, just tell me what you want. Her apartment. We originally had plans for dinner. She called me the morning of and explained she felt anxious to do it in a first date and it would be more chill to do it at her place. I was hesitant, but still went and dipped out early. I feel like having someone at my house would make me more anxious, not less. I completely agree. Men tend to have a lot less safety concerns when meeting women, but I was definitely concerned about my organs being harvested. Lol.